Yo.
What's up, man?
The story behind the Tassadors.
Oh my god, that's what we get to hear? Oh my god, I'm hyped. All right, let's do this, boys. Let's go.
Right. So the original Tassador is Phoenix. Originally a Gen Fed FC, moved to No. And I ended up talking to him. We fought one day, ended up DMing back and forth, and we ended up building a server for FCs in Eve Echoes. And the joke in there became, because like me and him get on well, and actually really good team on grid. And like someone just jokingly goes, "Oh, just get married already." I was like, "Oh, that's our ambassador. That does sound quite good." So after I joined No, I renamed my main, and the first thing I did was roam GenFed space without telling Phoenix what I'd done. I get literally a DM off him going, "Oh my fucking god, you did it!" And apparently, because I was roaming in Gen space, he got his DMs absolutely blown up, and that was worth it.
That's a troll that's absolutely worth 500 plex. Hats off to you, sir.
But I want to say there's more Tassadors. I want to see.
Oh yeah. So my corp alone has another one. Then you've got Matty and Yikai, who've both got a Tassador account, I think. Became a bit of a joke. Everyone on the Pew server renamed themselves to whatever their in-game name was, Tassador. I think at one point we renamed Mama on that server to Tassadorus Rex.
That's pretty good.
It was literally a troll like I did with my free name change, and I turned around to Phoenix and said, "I hope you don't want me to ever change it back because I ain't spending money on a name change."
Right, you change it to troll him. It's like, hey, dude, stop trolling me. Bro, I wish I could. Please, sir, may I have some more?
No, like, I do make content, which is why I say I make videos, but I make them under my alt's name, which is Ember Huntress.
And when you say you make content, like, accidentally, like, eating a Science C or, like, videos?
Videos.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'll post a link somewhere.
There you go. All right, can we start the show now?
Okay, I'll shut up.
Thanks, Tassador. Thanks, Latara, I mean. And show start. New Eden. A galaxy made up of salt, broken relationships, and the $10 scam. A galaxy where you can get a happy ending, but only if you pay a little extra. A galaxy home to a podcast greater than the Catskill Academy, Trekcast, and Echoes from the Front combined. Live on Discord, it's the Echoes of New Eden podcast. We bring you the finest in little-known facts from around the galaxy since 2020. If it's almost news, we'll cover it. And welcome to Echoes of New Eden podcast. How is it going, everybody? I am Rambo, your host for today, and actually, I don't have Taylor Rick with me today, although I thought I would, as noted in last week's little brief, but instead, I have Taylor's replacement, OC Can't Stop, is with us today. How's it going, OC?
It's going pretty good. I'm actually going to be renaming to I Can't Taylor.
I can't Taylor. I can't read. Or I can't speak. There we go. I can't speak. I can't talk. We can go on all day with that. Yeah. So how goes it? It's been a little bit since you've been on the show last.
It goes pretty well. Yeah, I think it goes pretty well in our region of space. Lots of roaming. I don't really know what the overall status with the war is. I just know when we see more newts than not. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah. The war is weird. It's a really weird one. It's not like how it was back in like last December, January, I guess. You know, the first few months of the year. It's definitely slowed down quite a bit, and people seem to be doing their own things instead. So, kind of is what it is. Coalitions are still out there. People are still roaming together and all that type of stuff, but it seems like the priorities are different. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, whatever happened with the Burnt Clairlum? Did that ever happen?
You know, honestly, I'm not sure because I think it was a Russian content creator that was trying to push that, but then the moderators got involved, unofficial EE, and told them that they probably shouldn't do it because it's breaking terms of service or something, like griefing players. And so, honestly, I don't even know if it happened. I heard that it was going to happen. I think a couple other content creators were not necessarily pushing it, but we're talking about it. And I'm like, okay, what are you really gonna do? What are you gonna do? You know, rep the rats or whatever. People do that, but I honestly don't know what they were trying to do. So, or even what the goal was. What was the whole goal behind that anyway?
My understanding is you're supposed to. Well, I guess you're supposed to go there, spawn missions, the missions that stop spawning, get people mad. But I don't. Yeah, the outcome. I think taking jarring action like that against Netties is it's a bit of a dice roll because there's a lot of things that you would think would be very simple for them to do. They say, "Oh, don't worry, we got this, guys," and they do something that nobody was expecting. So, I'm not sure that would get the result that people really wanted.
Now, I do know that, with a local of like 250 plus, if you're spawning encounters and then it'll give, some sort of error code and you'll just be sitting at the station or whatever, or sitting in space because you cannot accept like another encounter because so many people are accepting encounters in that same system. I guess that, like, there's a limit. So I could see them trying to be doing something like that, or somehow griefing the players that are in that system, just doing their AI nanocore bot thing. So, yeah.
Well, it depends too. It's not going to be the same for every system, right? So the way the server architecture works is when you actually ping to create that mission, it first is going to query to see how many loyal users are actually in local.
And then what? Do tell.
It just depends on how much AUR you've spent. Then it'll spawn more. I'm trolling, by the way. Bad joke, but I had to take the shot.
Take the shot. All right. Yes. So I know some of the early birds. We had Latara giving us a little history of the Tassador name. I'm going to leave that. Honestly, I'd already started recording before the show. I'll probably keep that little tad bit in there for a pre-intro.
Please.
So for the listeners to go back and listen to it. So good stuff. All right. No Taylor today, so that means you'll get to hear me talk more and probably screw stuff up more. I know everybody enjoys that. That's part of the entertainment value that they get from the show. So, yay. Yeah, yay. Good no Taylor, yay.
Wow. Got him.
Some is toxic for joining SSH. Interesting. Is that why OG is all of a sudden all up in silent space, like trying to do something? Maybe. But ever since Some moved up to the north, then it seemed like OG was setting up shop in NPC stations. Yeah. I gotta get my whiskey. Yes, go grab your drinks. Have a seat. Play the game. We all play the game here, right? So, what do we got going on today, OC? We have the latest game news announcements and the Q&A. We also have the Chinese Q&A. I haven't seen anybody else cover these. As far as other content creators go, I know a couple people have already covered the Q&A for this last week. Captain Benzie, Hale, are a couple. I don't know if Damon did. He's too lazy, but he's not even here. He's taking a shot. But anyway, we'll go over the latest there. And I know something that tickled Benzie's giblets was that latest cloud inquiry that was posted in the Eve Echoes general chat. So we'll go over that. Then OC, since you're here, let's do a CSM update. As both of us are in the CSM team, we recently had a good suggestion on there. I shared it and it sparked up some chatter, so we'll talk about that. Amongst a couple other things, I want to talk about channel blacklists, maybe a recent story that I had in game. And I had made an educational audio clip for y'all's entertainment tonight. So hopefully that'll be...
Oh.
Yes. I know, OC, you heard just a little bit. When I pulled you into the staff and you're away, you'd heard a snippet of it toward the end, but...
I was absolutely baffled. I had no idea what was going on. I thought I was having a stroke. So I would say it was a good clip.
Okay, that's fine. We don't want people listening to the podcast while driving. We don't want them having strokes or anything, for safety purposes. So maybe when that clip starts, probably pull over. Like
we don't want it to happen, but we also aren't responsible. So decide, guys.
Decide. All right. I saw someone recently on the Gulag server had gotten into a car accident earlier today. So, they're all okay too. But that reminded me, I was in a car accident a couple weeks ago. I hadn't said anything. I didn't make anything public about it or anything. But it happened while I was in the work truck, and I had a Tundra hit me. And it was pretty rough. Yeah, totaled the truck that
like
I was in.
Like a side swipe or?
Front end collision. Well, it was like a front end T-bone. Yeah, front end T-bone. So had I not stopped, he would have T-boned right in the driver area when I saw him coming. So like I literally, when I saw him coming, I stopped, and then he hit the front end, and the rest is history. So yeah, fun stuff, right? But it is what it is. Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago, probably like 3 weeks ago now. Yeah, I was telling him I was afraid to drive for like a week. It was weird. And I drove home that day too, and I was like, should I even be in the seat?
Right.
Like, should I have my wife come and get me? Yeah, type of thing. So all right, let's pull up the recent announcements. And let's see. We didn't cover last week's Q&A. I referred to a couple other content creators that did. So there's other videos of that stuff going on. But otherwise, we had a couple topics here. In their announcements, Carrie had posted this. We have been on a journey in New Eden for almost 3 years. As the anniversary approaches, please tell us your expectations and ideas for this grand celebration. So with that, there was a thread that was started, ideas and expectations. Now, I understood this differently. I don't know if I understood it correctly compared to how other people understand it, but as I see, is they're looking for expectations and ideas for the grand celebration. So as we remember from last year, they had the parade, right? And they had the live stream, and they had the corporations attend the parade and pay the AUR and all that stuff, right? You remember that. So I already have some OPSEC information about what they're going to be doing this next event. Though I found it curious as to why they were wanting to do like this ideas and expectations thing. Maybe it was a moderator thing that they wanted to do. I don't know if Carrie approved of it or whatever, but it seemed to have turned into a expectations for year 3. So I'm not sure if she was implying on, hey, what are your ideas and expectations for the actual celebration event?
The roadmap, maybe.
Or for the year 3, yeah. And it seems like a lot of people leaned more toward complaining about the game and what they should add and what they should fix and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, maybe it went over my head or went over their heads, but I wanted to see ideas of what people wanted to do for the celebration event. So, but I see it a lot of people is like, here's a list of things to fix, fix your bugs, fix your game, fix this, add and ship naming, blah, 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 blah. Like stuff that we already know that they're planning to add. And then we'll get to reasons to why they haven't added that here coming up in the Q&A stuff. So, I don't know if too many people really. I mean, there's 200 and something expectation like posts in this, and I said my 2 cents, and a lot of people have, but I have been seeing a lot of people say, fix your game type stuff, add this, add that. So whether or not that was the actual reason why they did that, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. So that's the latest, and it's still open right now too. So you could literally still go into that thread and post your concerns, I guess. But yeah, I'd be curious as to what gets implemented during this next update, during the grand celebration. And like I said, I know I have a hint of what's coming, though it's not anything set in stone, nothing official, nothing that I was told that I can share. So it'll have to be a wait and see. And heck, man, believe it or not, year 3 is coming up like in 2 weeks.
It was real.
Yeah, I mean, between 2 and 3 weeks, it's right there. So
I'm trying not to get too excited about the wormhole comment personally. I mean, I'm sure everyone probably feels the same, but it's good to see that they were at least soliciting feedback in the way that they were.
Yeah, and well, since you brought that up, I'll just talk about that. So I know I joke and I said it tickled Benzi's giblets, but Cloud had posted in the general chat on the EE Discord about him asking about wormholes. Let me see. Let me get that screenshot. I had it.
If you don't, I think I have one.
Yeah, I have it right here in my staff chat. So I will post this on air chat. Cloud says, is anyone familiar with wormholes? Welcome to DM me about the design you think is most interesting. So this raised some eyebrows. We knew that in, I believe it was a recent Q&A, they had inquired about adding something similar to wormholes. They may not call it a wormhole, but something similar into this game. And I know there's a lot of people that are, I guess, fans of that type of gameplay coming from EVE Online or whatever. So this is something big that would be added into the game that could change a lot of players' ways of playing, I guess you could say, or give them additional content. I don't play EO. I don't have very much experience. I'm literally below a novice when it comes to playing EO and knowing everything that's in that game. So I'm not sure what wormholes are really going to bring to the table for EE, though I'm optimistic. I think it'll be cool. I'm always for more content being added into the game, but for people that do know stuff about wormholes, either from from EO or their experiences or whatever, DM Game Design Cloud and give them your opinions. And I know Benzi in his latest video, he said something about like not telling a secret, but it was like a surprise or something, right? And he's like, yeah, Cloud inquired about this, so I gave him all this info to go off of. So if you have something to say, yeah, definitely DM Cloud about it with that type of stuff, or just tell him to not implement that stuff, and it'll probably piss off a lot of people. Be a troll. Don't do it.
Yeah, I don't think I would expect them to put a full wormhole implementation of the game, just something that at least bridges space more effectively, because I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that we have, is just that, for the whatever you think the player count is, you could argue about that. People are very, very far away from PvP at all times. Even whether it's war or just roaming, you have to go far to get fights, generally speaking, and it's sporadic. So I'm guessing that they're probably going to at least try and focus on just making it easier to get confrontation. I mean, I know they have Nihilus now, but it's pretty easy to have folks that just avoid center room and they sit in their safe room, right? So
right.
I'm hoping that maybe this is maybe they still do have those mass locks where it's like after a certain amount of battleships it closes, but you can essentially circumvent, for example, like circumventing a Cyano-jammer. It's not quite a Black Ops battleship, but even so, I think them dropping, like, say, blobs tomorrow, that would be very jarring. But if you had this as an intermediary step, then people would get some time to wrap their head around the idea of, like, oh shit, my jammer isn't an I win button. I don't just get to sit here invulnerable, right? I have to think about this. And then when you come out with that, it's like, oh, well, we're already kind of half measures for that.
Yeah, I'd be interesting as to how they implement it. I think it'd be something similar to Nihilist Dead Space with the multiple gates. Though I guess there's like levels of wormholes. So I don't know if that's going to be implemented right away, or say they just come out with like this grand update and it's all about wormhole stuff, and then it's, you know, absolutely huge and so much new content and blah blah blah. I'd be curious as to what they have coming up, and maybe if they do a live stream, you know. And I DM'd Carrie about what they should do with ideas and giveaways and stuff that they should do during the event, and see if any of that stuff clicks, you know. But hopefully they'll have some of the devs on, maybe as part of a live stream, and give us hints as to like their upcoming content and stuff that they're working on, and even take in like questions and engage with the audience and stuff. So yeah, it's really kind of a wait and see on that. So
do you know if your discount codes will work with the Titan boxes for this event, or?
not entirely sure. Depending on who you talk to, I haven't had it confirmed. I've been hearing that Titans are delayed, so not entirely sure if it's going to make it this event or if it's going to have to be postponed to another event. For the celebration event, CC, like content creators, they're expecting codes. We're expecting to give away gifts and stuff like that, but we haven't heard anything just yet. Granted, still a couple weeks before the event starts even. So, you know, we're talking about it pretty early, and we just haven't had that much info on it yet. So maybe by next week we'll hear something, or the week after, but for sure we should be pulling some sort of info from them.
Yeah, if they delaying Titans, I'll be honest, I could care less, but hopefully they have other good stuff that they prioritized in store for us, like getting some new news about the new region, or even Yanjung. Like, I don't know, anything like that would be nice. I say APIs, but it hurts every time I say it out loud. I lose a little bit of myself every time I make an API joke.
Yeah, that's the not the gift that keeps on giving, but I mean, you know, every time you say API, it's like a tree falling in the middle of the woods. You actually hear it.
Bro, just like tell us how much money you need. Let us start a GoFundMe, right? Just tell us what you need at this point, dude. Like, stop. Like, you have the power to end this. Help us help you, please. Sell API boxes during the next luck event, right? Like, this one, you don't win a capital ship, but you get APIs. There's like a chance that you'll proc APIs for everyone. I'll buy those boxes.
There you go. All right. Shall we get into the Q&A for this last week? So, getting into it from 711 to 717. First question. Looks like all of these questions were answered by Jamie So. So in that case, we'll get it on. Are you planning to change the interior of T4 Citadels? The current interior is very bland for something special everyone worked hard to achieve. The answer to that: thank you for your feedback. We have some ideas for providing more interior decorations and even linking them with music. But due to the limited staffing and its overall effect to the game, it is not prioritized on the development plan. Okay, a couple things here. T4 Citadels, when those released, that was the first thing that I did as I watched my Citadel upgrade to T4. I was undocked, it made a popping sound, and literally it turned into a building that was 10 times bigger than a T3 Citadel. I mean, I recorded it, it was cool and all, you know, literally it was, and it appeared. I'm like, holy shit, okay, it's big. Then you dock inside of it, and I was slightly disappointed that it looked exactly the same as a normal Citadel. And so, you know, that's one thing. Now, what a lot of people probably don't know is if you're docked in a T4 Citadel in a super, it actually does appear different. So it say you're in a battleship and you're looking at the ship in the center of the Citadel, like, you know, normal, it's above that platform. You look to the back of the room and you see like a, I don't know, like a hallway type thing where ships be passing by and all that type of stuff. When you're in a super, you're actually in that hallway. Did you know that?
Yeah, you can post a pic if you want.
So, and same thing for ITCs. Granted, ITCs are like, it's the same interior, but once you're in the ITC with a super, you actually have a different view of the Citadel, which, it's cool to see that view because, like, it's different, but at the same time, it sucks because you have no actual navigation within that screen. You can't twirl your ship. Yeah, you can't move it. You can't spin it around. You just look at it at a single angle and that's it. You just hit undock. It's like, okay, whatever. So there's something that's a little different that a lot of people haven't had to experience yet. Now, adding, let's see, I think they do this in EVE Online where they put like advertisements in the game. They can change like what's on the screens,
right,
the banners, all that type of stuff. They can implement stuff. The content creator's been pushing this for a long time. Like, hey, put Damon Zell's logo in the, on one of the TVs in there and say, echoes from the front every Monday or whatever, right? Or whenever he releases videos. People can do like
or even core messages. Like it could be something. It doesn't have to be something cool. It could be something useful. Just like, hey, Newton system. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a different way of looking at it. I hadn't thought of stuff like that, but they could literally have an ideas board and say, hey, what would you like to see inside of the Citadel? Okay, well, maybe content creator, advertising, enemy intel, so on and so forth, right? So I think there's a lot of possibilities to make this very cool and not necessarily customizable, but different than what we've been seeing for the last 3 years. And so I think that would be pretty cool. And they said even linking them with music, interior decorations and linking them with music. They've tried this in the past. We know with the Interstellar Bazaar events, right? They put the tracks in the background every time you docked. Like I docked and then all of a sudden I was getting like this upbeat techno type music beat. I'm like, when did they add this to the game? Right? I'm like, what am I listening to?
Nothing's impassioned. It's just, we spent a lot of time on this song.
Right. So we've seen this happen in the past. So you can kind of tell that they've been, dipping their feet into and trying some things. And, it's granted it was for an event, it was temporary, but along the, down the road, could they implement something that's a bit more permanent? Heck, could they even have a playlist? Here's the Eve Echoes soundtracks for the last 3 years, right? You have all the songs and ambient musics and all that type of stuff. Pull it up on a screen like I'm playing like a racing game, and you can check mark which songs you want to hear and which ones you don't, and have it as a playlist or whatever. When you undock or, your combat music, all that stuff can be customizable. My dreaming, I don't know. I guess I could be. I could be.
That's not far off.
Yeah,
they mentioned similar things. I mean, especially if it's something they can monetize. I think that, for example, like you saw in EO, where they can rent Citadel skins, renting Citadel playlists, right? It's ongoing payment. If it's something where anything like that, where it's rental and it's tokens that you can list for ISK, but someone has to buy for USD. I don't think that's that far fetched. And if they think it is, they're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, heck, and Citadel skins too. Gosh, give us freaking Citadel skins. It'd be so awesome to have an ITC
skin. Desktop beat the mobile game to that, right? Like, shouldn't that have been, right? Shouldn't they have been the first ones out the door? Like, oh my God, we can sell them the same bullshit every month. Let's do it.
Yeah. Granted, I was pretty happy to get a T4 and the difference that it made. Now, I think, is it in the game? I think I seen it in the game. I don't know if it was taken out, but T5 is on the horizon too. So
it's in the Corp Tech stats is probably where you've seen it. They already have on the level 4, I think, the sob energy for it.
Right. Yeah, and so I'm curious as to what is going to change visually with that too. So
cool. Well, just from a size perspective, it's going to be interesting seeing what happens during the undock because, right, when we first did the upgrade, it was janky. It broke a bunch of timers. I think the banners are still broken in the system. So, yeah, the size definitely messes up stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen the banner issue since I haven't got my custom one yet. Rip. The
Wait,
undocking.
does it show your banner?
No, I don't know.
I mean, like if you undock from your Citadel on the level 4, does it show your corp banner right now?
I'd have to undock to see. Honestly, I'm always zoomed out, so I don't really
To play the
see
game, I don't. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, we have to play the game. What?
Expectations. Sorry, man.
Yeah,
My bad.
I haven't paid attention enough. Can you believe that? I haven't paid attention enough to actually know that.
It's the worst.
I know,
I
right?
just use my AI Nano core for everything.
Right? Yeah, you just hit undock and then you press your AI and then you walk away. Yeah. So, yeah, we got that coming on the horizon, so that'll be cool. Next question. Oh, I was gonna say too with the T4 Citadels, I think their undocking distances are still broke. I'm still seeing, that was supposed to be optimized like a week or two after the T4s were updated. Because you would undock like 30 km away, but it wouldn't allow you to dock right away.
Right, because
you're out of range. Like, I think that's still broken. So
perfection.
Yeah. If you're one of the rare people, submit a bug report. That's all I can say. Okay. Next question. I've been playing since the beginning, and I always have people asking what I'm playing. I say, the best mobile game ever. They want to play, but they get turned off on how long it takes to get to T10. Can you please shorten the time to get to T10 to 2 to 3 months? In Diablo Immortal, they have a server level, and if you're below it, it gives you a 600% bonus to catch up. Do that, or something we desperately need this for new players. Okay, interesting question. Jamie So comes back, says, we understand that new players want to reach T10 quickly, but veteran players also have put in the time and effort to reach the current level. Therefore, we need to further consider this suggestion because we need to balance these two aspects carefully. Yeah, I guess people have differing opinions as to newer players and getting up to the T10, or the higher tiered levels. I've been hearing people say get rid of the tier system, like it should just be 1 or 2, like another game. But yet this person's comparing this game to Diablo Immortal, which these are two completely different. Yeah.
Just in general, please don't.
Yeah. Then I've been hearing people say, oh well, if you do that, then the veteran players will want something, and like they've been playing since day one and they need something to give boost and blah blah blah. So I could see where the devs are kind of not second guessing it, but kind of their hesitation as to implementing something like a 600% bonus, like XP bonus. Something
needs to be done, but I think one thing that's important for people to understand, even though they're not going to enjoy it, is that characters in this game are very different than in a traditional MMO. Like your character really is more of an asset. It's a resource, right? So I think for me, like if I wanted to see something, not that I don't think boosts make sense, maybe at least up to Tech 8, Tech 9, but if you could have a way that Corp Labor translates to something like that. So just like how you have Corp Omega Basic, something that you're doing, even with Corp Standing translates into SP buffs or characters, or Character Bazaar, right? I knew there was no way they were going to release Character Bazaar before Titans come out, right? Because it's going to limit what they can charge people for transfers, because accounts themselves will be valued less before that hits. But I think something like that, and anything that gives corps or groups more options to help new players, I think is going to be more helpful. But the bad news there is that it still involves people talking and then playing with other people to take advantage of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that seems to be something that here a lot of new players really don't want to hear. They want to play with other people by themselves.
Yet that doesn't really make sense. So one thing that we've seen that, granted, it costs money, is the Omega special deal. You pay the $20 and you
right.
And you get the benefits of per the tier, the benefits, and then they updated the Omega special deal, per, if you buy a certain amount of Omega, then you get all the SP and all this crap, all that bonus stuff, right? So like there's that, and that's cool and all. We've heard in the past They have straight up said it. There's no way they're getting rid of the tier system as it sits. There's too much stuff involved. They'd have to redesign the freaking game because it's all revolved around that T10, T1 through 10. So it's honestly, it's more work than they probably want to do. And considering that they've said limited staffing in a number of their questions, I doubt it's going to be something that they would implement. So I'm for more so the ideas as to give lower tiered players stuff to do. Not everything is T10 battleship ratting or capital, or give them some sort of thing to do to boost up their experience a little bit faster. Now, I think a lot of the major corps, or I guess you could call them established corps, have stuff for these players to do. Sure, you don't have the best building skills, but you can do this or that, or here's how you can be helpful within the corp and still have a good time. So, a lot of corps have that stuff. I think, a lot of solo people are joining, and, they get their buddies in, and they expect their buddy to do the same thing that they do. Well, that may not be what they like to do, or they may not catch the game as quickly or something and get bored of it really quick. Then you're getting into questions like these, like, well, why can't they be in a battleship in day 2? Well,
right.
If they wanted to spend enough money on it, sure, they probably could get into a battleship on day 2. We've seen that, actually, with faction battleships. You can get into them early. Though, not everybody's willing to spend the money to, get to that point right off the bat.
I think a big problem, too, sometimes you're not wrong to say, like, established corps might have stuff for people to do when they're young. I think a big problem is that sometimes it's not that you have a lack of things for people to do, it's more translating the value of it, right? So you'll have some people where they're motivated because they're like, I want to do the thing. And some people are motivated because they're like, my meaning and my value is derived from how I help the group. And it's kind of weird because it's a lot of people see it that way. So you might say, hey man, there's no tech level on a Noctis. Well, okay, I don't want to take free shit from you. Bro, it's not free shit. You're not quite there yet. I don't need you to spend $200 on SP. Take this Noctis, follow that dude around. Trust me, he's happy to have you do it. He doesn't want to loot shit. Just keep grabbing stuff. Well, what am I going to do with these minerals? And it's not that there's not stuff to do, but it doesn't feel impactful or meaningful to them. Like it feels like you're taking pity on them or something like that. So they don't feel like they're earning their way, which I can understand why someone wouldn't want to commit to a game, even if they have a good group for something like that. You don't want to feel like you're clocking in after clocking out your real life job. You want to feel like you're actually having an impact on the people that you're with if you care about them.
Right. Well, if you have corp goals and stuff like that, like if you have a guy that's ratting that's T10, battleship, AI bot, whatever, and he's doing his thing, and you just want to go out in a Noctis or a Magnet and just follow him around and collect the scrap. Like my corp, we have a scrap freaking reprocessing division, right? So like literally you can do that and make an income, and that's literally all you can do is just you have a person scrap of the mods into minerals and then sell us the minerals. It's free to you, right? And you make money on top of it. So that's any level can do that. And you're not really in the way of, you're not really sponging off of, the ratters or anything, because most of the time they can't be bothered with collecting the scrap as it is. So I know a lot of ratters that don't even bother. Some do, some have, with the implementation of the salvage drones and stuff, they've implemented those into their fits in their ratting ships, but a lot of them didn't spend that coin because, granted, salvaging as a ratter is expensive. Those dumb chips that you have to buy, and all the mods, and all the skills and all that crap to be able to do that.
That's just not Eve. It mirrors real life. You should specialize, right? Somebody who's like, oh man, I have one character that does everything, bro. Like, no, that's not specialize. In my opinion, you want as little India's XP in your corp as possible. If you need only 2 people to salvage, then you should have 2 characters that can salvage. I mean, unless you need emergency salvaging, like, someone's going to die if you can't salvage in the next 2 hours.
Right. Yeah.
The more SP you have that's doing nothing, the more of the favor you're doing for Netties, right? Get your SP doing shit that you actually need that provides value. Everything else, spec out of that shit.
Yeah. But that's one aspect of the many things that lower tiered players can do. Yeah, and T10 isn't always the fame and glory as it seems, I guess you could say. You know, like you and I, we've put the time in, we hit T10 just like, you know, at the same time everybody else did, and you know, we still play the game, have close to 200 million SP and skills and all that type of stuff. And you know, for veteran players, I could see people getting mad about NE implementing something to catch up new players. Because it's like,
Yeah.
I could create an alt tomorrow and have it T10 within a couple weeks, and then now it's like another battleship pilot, or it's a whatever else you want to make it, right? So it can go either way, I guess. So yeah,
Even if they
they'll
don't do a
have to
catch up,
consider.
I just feel like they could have something that allows people to be boosted. Like, so for example, in Dormant, right? Even if you allowed new players to run battleships, I mean, they still wouldn't have the bonuses from a lot of the skills. Hard to believe that they can't
Yeah.
figure out. Not that I want more Dormant style gameplay in Eve Echoes, but hard to imagine they can't figure out something that won't break the economy that allows people to be engaged. Because the vast majority of people, when they especially like when you download on a phone game, I would guess the average person that does that, they're not like, oh man, I can't wait to hop on VoIP and find a good corp to, you know, it's probably someone who downloaded it, they just want to pass the time. So to bridge from that to, well, actually, you really do kind of want to engage with people and give a shit a little bit to get true value out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking maybe they can implement some sort of special tier Omega, you know, and instead of giving plus 60 SP a minute, they can give like 120. So there you go. There's 100% bonus, but it's only on new characters. Or, you know, if you purchase them Omega, the dual Omega, say for the $15, you're under 90 days account tenure, you apply for that, right? And then it speeds things up a little bit. Therefore, you can level up a little faster. So I'm sure that a lot of people have a lot of ideas as to how they can go, and all I could say is make your suggestions. They do look at those. So, and from time to time, they even inquire about them. So, give your opinion. Okay.
So you'd
Question.
recommend just what, like post on the official Discord and just add getafix every time until something changes?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to piss him off all the time, but use the
Right.
aura, or use the aura bot in the suggestions. And then, you know, I always go back to the suggestions, and, you know, every once in a while, and actually we'll probably hit up a few of them tonight, you know, just to see what people are suggesting, just to see what's in the talks, what kind of ideas that some people have. Because, you know, I know a lot of people, and a lot of people have ideas, but the suggestions board in the feedback section there, yeah, it gives a little bit more of a eye widening aspect of things as to what other people are thinking about. Often there's a lot of salt in there. I do see that. It's like, oh, this dude's just a crybaby. I do see that, and he wants change, and he wants it now. It was like, okay, dude, chill out. Like, who hurt you, right? Like, seriously.
Yeah, man, it's not a prison. You can take a break. It's okay.
Yeah, like chill out. They're not going to change the game because of one instance that you had, right?
I think
Cloaks,
too, people
cloaks are a big one.
Maybe sometimes misunderstand how those mediums get used, right? I mean, you know, I write suggestions and I'm on the CSM. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. I do not expect that they're going to sit there and, I mean, I know the mods go through it and whatnot, but I don't expect them to sit there and have a thoughtful conversation about each suggestion. I expect them to act somewhat like a business, which is that if we as customers keep bringing up XYZ issue, it doesn't matter what the wording of the suggestion is. If the focus is on this issue, the fact of the matter is, listen, man, everybody wants to make money. So they're going to try to find a way to provide something for that need, at least. And I think it might be better if people looked at suggestions more from that lens than, well, I keep talking about this one specific issue and they won't address it. It's like, I think it's going to be more beneficial to get more people to focus on that one thing, right? Which means upvoting and whatnot regularly.
Yeah.
And talking about it in the Discord too.
Yes, indeed. and we do know that they monitor that stuff. And of course, with I'm in DMs with Carrie just about every day, and I send her screenshots of often it's sometimes stuff that she's even said, and in reply and give feedback and all that type of stuff. So like they see this stuff. Granted, they have a lot of stuff to read on top of their job anyway. So yeah,
Carrie is amazing. I mean, she is. I hope we never lose her.
Yeah, she's been pretty good. She's been pretty good to us. She's been pretty good to us. All right, next question. Do you plan on bringing back the Crimson Harvest event where we get the boxes that hold the faction warp bubbles like we did in the first one when the game launched? Thank you for your question. We appreciate your interest in the Crimson Harvest event. We will consider bringing back some past content at the appropriate time, but we cannot guarantee that it's gonna be the Crimson Harvest event. So, if you were to do a poll today and say, hey, everybody, what was your favorite event in the game?
Yep.
It's always this event. Always. Everybody's always referring to bring back the Crimson Harvest event. Bring it back. Bring it back. Now, when the first Crimson Harvest event, little old Ramel here, I was T6, T7, and I was ratting in a Can-U, and I remember seeing the special symbols in space and all that crap, right? And people were doing this event. I actually never did this event, even though I was playing the game at the time. For whatever reason at the time, it was like, was it a PvP seeker at the time? Like, did roamers go to those things? Something deterred me from doing the Crimson Harvest anomalies or whatever they were. And so, but aside from me, a lot of people participated in this, and yes, it gave the special faction warp bubbles. So, amongst other stuff, and it gives skins, and it gave like loot boxes and stuff that you open, and it gave a bunch of gifts. OC is snoozing on me.
What? No, no, sorry. I was engrossed.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, that's been my experience as well. As people seem to love that more than anything else. What I'd love to see is maybe a version of that where we can see maybe like limited drops of what they had when they had the freighter event where they were dropping those high meta level items. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be anything that has crazy stats. I think maybe it's better if the stats aren't insane and it's more vanity items you can lose. It's sad that we don't see that stuff coming back. I don't know. I don't think that they have to do as much effort as they think they do to appease some of the concerns that are brought up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it. Granted, it may not be in their timeline, but like, how hard could it be just to implement that event again? Maybe they have to scale it up or scale it to the new content, compared to how it was in 2020, October of 2020. Bring it back. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Maybe I'll actually participate in it this year, or if they do decide to implement it, because more so recently, I've been doing pretty much all the event stuff. So this one I'd probably be interested in doing as well. It'll be pretty cool. It's a fan favorite, obviously. Make the people happy. I agree.
The only thing I could possibly think is it sort of seems like they have shifted from, maybe I'm wrong, like less large events to just a more constant stream. I mean, it's an exaggeration, but sometimes it feels like, man, there's like 6 events going on at the same time, and some of them, like for example, the current Super event, or when there was a Jump Freighter event, I don't even think one of them right now is not even in the UI, right? And that's happened multiple times, and there's still a shit ton of UI to look at. So I don't know if maybe they have some sort of, maybe it's a retention strategy where they want events running constantly that are small to grab different niche sections or something, but
I don't know. I don't really consider the leaderboards events though. I guess they do name them as Inscription of the Galaxy, whatever. They consider it an event in game, but I don't really consider that an event. I consider like Crimson Harvest, that was a 15-day event or whatever,
Right, because these are not content. These are them directing how the game, they're directing the economy in a certain way. I would agree with you. I'm just more saying, I don't know if maybe that's the way they view it. right? Because that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. Like, we can say, hey, we want more events, and we don't view Inscription as an event, but they might say, dude, what are you talking about? We have events running all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, could be that. Could be a translation error. They just think that it's an event, but maybe the player base doesn't consider it that way. Like, I don't really know anybody that does. The leaderboards are just leaderboards. Inscription of the Galaxy
I would agree.
leaderboard.
It's not content, right? If you're doing exactly the same thing you're doing before, but just not being recognized, yeah, I would agree. It's not content.
Yeah. All right. Yes, bring back the event, the Crimson Harvest event. All right, next question. 07 devs. My question is regarding the status of purple nanocores. Several content creators have mentioned that they believe purple cores will become something players can buy and sell in the future. Could you tell us the status of this? I think it's a great idea with all the recent changes to the game, especially since the gold cores now have replaced them. Thanks for all the hard work. Jamie So says, at the moment, purple cores cannot be traded, but they can be exchanged. We plan to open up more exchange options for purple cores in the future. We appreciate your support and hope you can continue to enjoy playing our game. Yes, being one of those content creators that said that nanocores will be tradable, we still have yet to actually see that. It's not like I can put a Ascension core up on the market and sell it for 300 million ISK. That's what they mean by tradable. Not what's the word that they used?
Exchange.
Exchange.
They had mentioned that it was a translation issue, and they really meant the exchange store, which I don't think that's the case. I think that was a backtrack, and that was a clever use of wordplay there. I think that, yeah.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of cores out there that are sought after that they haven't implemented into the game for a while. Granted, we did see the Will of Steel come back. We did see the Thermo 2 come back. You know, we've seen a few of them that people were requesting come back. But say, first of all, get rid of the Ascension freaking core. That thing's like the ugliest freaking core. I hate it. It's not that I purposely don't buy it. It's like when the new Concord starts and I look at the core options as to what I can get and I see that it's Ascension, that literally makes me want to spend my Concord points into other things, which at this point in my game, yeah, that's probably better anyway, because I already have cores for literally every ship that I buy or fly, I mean. So I don't really need more cores. I'd like to get more like new cores or specialized cores. Like I got a Clear Sky specialized for its ship. I have a Cyber X specialized for its ship, and so on, right? I do have one Ascension core, and it's on my my CTA Maelstrom. So it's on a ship that literally is designed to blow up. You know, okay, blow it up, sure. I don't care. It's just it gives me cannon damage. Oh, big whoop.
I know they have concerns about, balance or econ there, but what I don't understand is why they don't have them for sale for a limited period of time or tradable, right? i.e., if it's week 1 of Concord, right, and I give the package to someone, it's movable for the next 6 weeks. Because generally from what I've seen is when they allow people to sell their Concord points, if you look at JITA prices, man, people are selling their points for nothing. I mean, they really are. So I think it would actually be a benefit to the economy for them to do that. But
yeah. And now with the gold cores having to consume purple cores for their gained attributes, that it's a market in its own, right? Like, hey, I'm looking for a core that gives laser damage. All the cores
but that competes with keys, though. That's the problem there. They want you to buy those keys.
Of course.
The 59 AUR ones, because you can only do 30 of the regular per pass.
Yeah. Yeah, just one of those things, right? Yeah, of course they want you to pay the money, but at the same time, like, people want to collect the cores or eat them up for their gold core, and it's either you pay the money or you play the game more, Concord and get the roll on those nanocores. But yeah, exchange, wordplay. That's amazing.
I honestly think that's what happened. I mean, I'm not even trying to really talk shit about Netties, but the tone, the way they were talking about it, it really didn't seem. It seemed like that was a shift. Like someone made a decision, realized it wasn't going to be viable for some reason, and said, "Well, actually, this is passable. This is really what we meant." Maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah, I was for real accepting that. I was actually thinking, like, I've literally told court members, like, hey, we're expecting to see,
right.
These things be tradable. So if you have one that you want to trade or sell or whatever, hold on to it, or keep the opt box, and then you'd be able to sell it, blah blah blah. And that still has yet to happen. So I guess expectations are there, but also disappointed that it hasn't happened yet. So cool. All right, so that was it for the Q&A there, and as well as we have the Chinese Q&A to go over. So I have that pulled up, and can't stop. Did your contact get back to you on that translation?
Oh, I don't know if she had any time to look at it. I mean, she sent me some notes and said one of them is. I'm going to be honest. That screenshot you showed me, I can barely read that. So, but she said one of the questions is asking for some sort of offensive PVE in the belts. So I guess mining belts. The devs say no. Then there's an old update about maintenance from July 6th. Said they're going to reset market values based on usage. So the typical thing that we see. And yeah, that looks like, I think that's all she had the time to get to.
Okay. Yeah, there's 1, 2. So there's 3 questions here that they'd posted. So let's go over these real quick. I haven't seen any other content creators go over these. So we're the first, I guess. So anyway. Does Legion Technology plan to launch the function of expanding the number of legions? There are plans and they are in production, so stay tuned. Okay, so now we have to kind of parse this as to what do they mean. What do they mean by Legion Technology? Does Legion Technology plan to launch
Corp Tech.
or expanding the number of legions?
I think they might. I mean, that could sound like either more Corps and Alliance, but I'm going to guess that's the amount of SOV that you hold. Either SOV or roster size increases. Because I don't know if you remember a while back, they released that Corp Tech post, and they said we're getting 22 technologies, but only 16 are in the game.
Right.
And those were 2 things that were on there. So it could be something new, of course, but
yeah,
those seem like the closest. Legion and other games I've played, that gets used in place of Corporation a lot in Chinese translations.
Yeah. And we do know with the Corp Tech that has been designed so they can add stuff later. We do know that. Yeah. So just the way in its actual graphical design, you can see lines of stuff as to how they're going to implement stuff. But I guess there's plans in production, so stay tuned. So, that's all we got. But for real, we need corpse size increased. Like we needed it like back in April when they initially hinted that it was going to come out in that update. Has yet to come out, so could we hope for the 3rd anniversary event update? Who knows? We'll see. But anyway. Will the transactable purple core come out? And when will it come out? So we just talked about this, right? The purple nanocore cannot be traded at the moment, but it can be exchanged. And we will come to us in the future. More purple nuclei will be opened for replacement. So yeah,
that's good. That's cool.
All right, next one. I guess there's 5 questions, not 3. I think I said 3 earlier. Dolphin class, electronic warfare type of electronic warfare frigate, electronic warfare cruise ship. The sub-battle types are all ships that already exist in the game. Is it planned to open for players to use? Wow, that question was tortured. Yeah, that question was absolutely tortured. Some new types of ships, including some electronic warfare types, are being designed and discussed. It will be released to players after the design is completed. If the player mentions that in some when the place sees them is most likely because of a bug, and they welcome feedback to the customer service. So I had looked at these, and it's funny how they say if you see a new ship, it's mostly because of a bug. And I get that completely because, one, we've seen it happen in the past. If anybody remembers the Enforcer, when that update hit with the, what do you call that, science game mini game that got implemented into the game, it was like a week or two before there was an update that hit, and the Enforcer just magically appeared on the ship tree. Like, what the hell is that? Oh, you go into Galente and it's a special cruiser or whatever, and people are like, hey, how do you even get it? And then it was like the next day or something, another update came out and they removed it.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bug. I think that's more of a branch control issue, right? Like, that's pretty common for games to have branches. I think that's just someone just oops. It's not. I don't think it's as simple as like they pasted something from Eve and then they just totally forgot about it. Someone was testing something. It wasn't viable. It made it past tests. It got promoted to production.
And then people are wondering, what the hell is this?
Right. Yeah. Oh my God, leaks.
Yeah. And actually, I think at the same time, they were implemented into the Concorde ship type on the gates. Do you remember that?
No, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you go to the gate in Jita, and the ship's circling it, right? You'll have a Abaddon or whatever the officers are in. Well, Enforcers were added to their ship types during that time. But so the question was like, how are we getting this ship? How do you build it? A lot of what the hell is happening. And so then that was like the next week or two afterwards, they implemented that event where you can lose your brain cells trying to match all the arrows and grind the points and finally get the ship. I mean, I haven't played that mini game since I got the ship. So, and there's probably a lot others that are like me that did the same thing. So they've always been in game as Concorde Police. Really? I don't know, because I don't remember looking at the Concorde Police pre-Enforcer. Heck, I don't even look at them nowadays, so I honestly don't know their ship types.
Launch in this game? We've had Marshals and High-Sec since then?
That's according to Latara in chat. The Enforcer and Marshal have always been in game as Concorde Police.
Okay.
Yeah,
so just been baiting us for 3 years, just like what could be.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it until it was added to the ship tree, and then it started the talk, right? It started getting conversations going as to what the heck are these. So, yeah, I'm not in high-sec enough to even know, and even then I'm AFKing it and to go wherever I need to go, so I haven't paid attention to the gates or the Concorde that's on it, but interesting fact. Learned something. Just like the whole Citadel broken banner thing. Like, I don't know. I haven't been bothered to look. Okay. There will be buildings to upgrade the grade of the mine belt in the future. Since the exception can be improved grade, can the ore belt also be used? Okay, I have to think about this one a little bit. I know the translations are torture.
So they're talking about upgrading mining belts, because right now you can change everything else in the system but that.
So like a corporation add-on to the Citadel. Is that what
if they said structure, it'd be a corp add-on, and that would make more sense than the corp tech, because corp tech is meant to be more expensive, but limitless, meaning that you don't have to make a hard choice, you can unlock everything, whereas the actual add-ons, you have to actually choose what you're doing with your Sav energy.
Yeah.
But that's what that sounds like.
So, and they answered this. At present, this function is already on a schedule, but the ranking is relatively backward. It will not be available in a short time production.
I think they mean prioritization. Like it's in other words, yeah, we're going to do it, but staffing issue, whatever they would say.
Yeah. In some systems, believe it or not, there's a limit to the amount of mining belts that spawn in a system. Have you seen that before?
Isn't that all systems? What do you mean?
Well, okay. some systems spawn, say, only like 3 mining belts compared
Right.
to other systems that can maybe spawn 10. Say 10 is the limit. Okay, sure.
Right.
So could there be an add-on for those SOV owners that they can implement to make more belts, to spawn clusters,
Oh, I
like
see,
more
sure.
clusters
Yeah.
instead of belts? And, you know, at this point in the game, I remember back in the day when people were talking about this, excuse me, when we were getting ratting add-ons. Okay, and the miners are like, oh, where's our mining add-ons? We want this stuff. Or if you're in a, say, a 0.6 or like a -6 system, you get T9 belts. Well, what if they want T10 belts to get the Morphite out of them, right? They want an add-on to be able to upgrade the mining belts like you can the anomalies. So back then, I remember criticizing it like, well, technically, you don't want that. You lose money by doing that. It's like as a ISK efficiency mining opinion, you know, back in the day, kind of trashed it, but in
It
modern
depends on where
day,
you start, though.
right? So
Like a T9 to 10, sure, but anything to T9, it would be more.
but you have SOV, you know, people own SOV and minus, you know, 0.1, and you know they get, heck, I don't even know what level belts that are in there. They're lucky to get 0.6 belts, right? Or T6
Right.
belts. So give them the option to upgrade. You at least put something in the game that allows for this to happen and leave it up to the courts to want to implement it or not. Some corps could use an add-on to spawn more frequently belts or clusters or whatever, right? You know, kind of add that aspect to it. Others will want they don't want the amount they don't want the amount increased, but they want the quality of the ore increased, and so they can add an add-on for that. That's fine. They can implement that. Maybe I could probably do that in one system. I could probably add an add-on in one system to give more spawns. You know, so I think it goes per corp as to what they would decide to want to do for that. But I think it's a good idea, and according to this, it's in the production. It's in the, you know, future plans. When we will see it, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done something like that, especially in the wake of adding gases, because it seems like a very Eve thing to do. It's like you always allow someone to get better at something, you just add an insane cost to it, right? I mean, like most people for skills, right? You know, everyone knows you stop at 554, depending on what it is, for the most part, right? You know, you could go 555, but you don't. And I'm surprised that they don't, for something that would be so popular, right? It seems like you would want to offer that bait to people like, sure, you can have this. It's just obscenely expensive.
Yeah. Well, like you had said earlier, the specialized characters, you are hitting 555 in whatever that you're specialized in. So I do know of miners that are 555. I have a couple characters that are 555 in mining and planetary specifically for that type of stuff, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mean that generally. I mean, obviously, if that's the one thing you're doing, especially a miner, anything to do with industry, you're gonna min max because otherwise you're just deciding to not get that 1% every day for forever.
87 days, something, you know, 80 something days for a 5th level on the expert skill. So, not to mention those added skills that you can then purchase. So, good deal. All right. Regarding the badge of the Legion of the previous event, when will it be delegated to the commander of the Legion in your hand? If there are other questions, who can I communicate with? Wow.
So that's about inscription medals, I'm guessing, because they take forever to put them out.
Yeah. Jeez. Freaking. Yeah, I have my own opinion about that. But regarding to the answer here, in the rewards of the Yu Nyang civilization, the design of customized rewards requires repeated communication with players recognized so the production time is long. The S5 season rewards have been issued. Related issues, you can give feedback to customer service and we will discuss it internally. So I understand that, they have to send the document to the CEO, and then the CEO has to have like an internal corp design contest or something for the logo and the banner. Like my corp has done this, other corps has done it. I'm like OS has done it, right? Many times. And so
Yeah.
we yeah, there's that whole communication window. But after it's submitted, it still takes months to be able to get the custom rewards, and whether it be nanocore, a logo, a freaking medal, just the participation of medal for being top 20, still takes months to get.
It's
And
kind of hard to understand because it's a PSD that you're handing them. I mean, I don't want to down talk their art department, but you're
Yeah.
not. It's not like you're handing someone a design brief for. This is the thing. This is the file. This is the needful. It's here. You have it, and not for nothing, but the biggest issue I have is one, when they send you that form to fill out, they give you a specific expectation of a time frame. For me, it's never been met, not once. And then when they give you that time frame, I don't know about every single time, but the first time they did it, they sent it out immediately after the event. They told us we had 10 days or we were going to get the regular rewards. So we had to cobble together like our first design in that period of time. Like we had one guy actually, he was working on it. He took like, a little bit of time off to do it because we were trying to get something in the image. To then, for months, and I literally mean this. I mean, I think the average time it's taken them to get us custom corp medals is between 6 to 9 months, which I understand if you're short staffed, but here's the thing. I didn't pick the event dates, they did. Right? So like if you're just from a project standpoint, right? Like if you're saying, hey man, we're gonna start this event in January, and we know like there's no extensions, we know when every inscription ends. If it ends 73 days later, well, I mean, man, you're the one lining it up with your sprints. It's weird that you're not ready for it at that time.
yeah, find that
we're not making the dates.
So, the due dates are one thing. So what I heard on the back end is it takes time to test them. So after they implement them, then they have to test them to make sure that they work in the game. Okay. I don't know if they're testing it on their own private developer server. It's like, oh, okay, it looks good here, it looks good there, it looks good on the gate, it looks good on a Citadel, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they have to test that stuff. But, I mean, it can't take that. It can't. How does it take months, though? That's kind of the head scratcher, though. How does it take months?
So I'll do you one better. The first set we won, that's the one I told you about. We've received one set of custom medals. They owe us 2 more sets, but we gave them the same design. So we've been waiting half a year to receive the thing that's in the game. They designed the new Heaven Core that works on faction battleships. That was ready like a month ago. So yeah, man, I don't know how they're testing these images, but I guess that process isn't as efficient as it could be.
HTP Bunker Boots said it took 4 months for them to get their medal.
Well, wait, so Bunker, when you got your medals, were they custom or were they the top 20 ones? Because it sounds like you got the top 20 in 4 months, right?
Well, they're
custom. Okay, wow, all right. So
I believe they hit number 1 during that event. If I'm not mistaken, they hit number 1 on the event.
That's really. So I mean, you got those really fast because they say, what is it? They said 90 days is what their expectation is, or something. So you got them at around the time people are supposed to get the top 20. So, congrats, I guess.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, placement 4th through 20 still have to wait the same amount of time to get their event medals that they won from the Inscription of the Galaxy. So it's not even custom stuff, and yet they still have to wait all that time to receive the rewards. So, or a medal that is relatively the same, just a different color,
right,
than the previous event. So it's like, okay. But that's what I've heard. It takes a while to test. I know I tried pushing mine through, specifically for the Science C event when my corp participated in that, and they wanted all that stuff. I was like, oh, well, I just won this event anyway, so maybe that'll speed it up a bit. It didn't. So, yeah. I even inquired about it, got no reply. as to see if I could speed it up again. And guess what? I'll probably bug them again in another week or two. So, see. Yep. Cool. All right, and that is it for the Chinese Q&A. That is it for Q&A in general. I hope we didn't bore everybody with that stuff. You know, people are like,
Also,
"Oh my god, it's not this."
That made me feel better just seeing, like, because they're a very different market. They have a lot more purchasing power. So seeing them complain about largely the same things we do it makes me feel better, right? Like if they were complaining about stuff that I thought was all trivial and tiny, I'd be like, oh man, so they don't have problems. But the fact that they're getting screwed on that stuff too is good to hear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. And then I accidentally closed the wrong tab, so I gotta bring up my shit here again. So we talked about Cloud's wormhole inquiry. So next up on the thing was the recent suggestion that we had seen about the CSM. And real quick, I have that screenshot of the suggestion right here. Copy this, paste this into the on-air chat. This was suggested on the official EVE Discord by Strix. I don't know if I tortured your name, but he says the efforts of the player base that went into creating and electing a CSM, which has been supported by all major coalitions among the community, is at least deserving of a response to the letter of inquiry that was drafted through many months of careful consideration by the council members. That the player base can organize to such a degree and work through their collective political differences to attempt to bring their concerns to the table, and to completely ignored is deeply concerning to me. My suggestion is that the developers or the NetEase reps above them, or whoever is responsible for PR, demonstrates that they listen to the players by acknowledging the existence of the CSM and issuing a response to the letter of inquiry in an official statement from NetEase. So, I saw this in the suggestions list because, like I said, I noted earlier, I go through them every once in a while and see what people are talking about. And I saw this one, and at the time, it didn't get many upvotes or anything like that. So
it was under 20 when you first posted it. It was, yeah.
Yeah, when I saw it, it was like less than 5 even. I think it was probably 5 upvote and like 2 downvote. So I'm like, you know what? That's a good suggestion. So I took a screenshot of that and I posted it onto the EVE players, the Echoes Player Association, aka CSM Discord, and did an @everyone and say, hey, everybody, look at this great suggestion. Take your time. Here's the link. You can upvote it here. Since then, it had gotten upwards of 150 votes. Actually, I think it's more now. So that's one of the things as part of the CSM that we've been wanting to, I guess, do is get people talking about this and, you know, suggestions and bringing it up. And OC, I remember when you messaged me, he's like, dude, you started a lot of chatter, like 900 something messages worth of chatter just by posting that. I'm like, yeah, cool. You know, get people talking about that. And then that's how we can actually get some sort of response. So I know there's people out there like, oh, well, you know, NetEase isn't ever going to, you know, they're not going to bite because of the people that are on there and they don't represent the game and blah, blah, blah. They bash the game, whatever they have to say about those people. I don't know. I inquired as to what they were talking about anyway, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. The response that I got when I sent the letter to Carrie was, we cannot comment on this at this time. Neither us or officially, right? Or the official NetEase. No comments on it. Okay, well, let's try another CSM member and then so on and so forth. So we've been trying to push this. It's not like we're just sitting still necessarily. So as a CSM...
Can I just, real quick, because there's a lot of words there, and I know a lot of people have feelings about the CSM, which is weird to me that you have people that are against other people performing free labor on their behalf, but sure. Right. Let's just read this dude's post, right? This is not a suggestion for them to even work with the CSM. this is the last line is what he's asking for. All he's saying is respond to them.
Yep.
That's his suggestion. So his suggestion to the company is the people that pay you money, that have taken it upon themselves and said, hey, this is the time that I've elected as my gaming or leisure time. I'm going to stop engaging in gaming. I'm going to do something that approximates work. And I'm going to get this thing together. Please just respect the time those people put into it and say, hey, even if it's, hey, man, it's a response. It doesn't mean a positive response. It doesn't mean validate us. It doesn't mean us put us on just a response. Right? And it's just surprising to me that got a negative response. And yeah, I mean, it literally the CSM, if I had to describe it, is it's people. You know what? I won't speak for the CSM. I'll speak for myself. I would like to have a more honest and transparent conversation with Netties formally. Yeah, I can PM devs, and I do. I speak to devs sometimes, and I speak to Arrow far more than I would like to, and probably far more than he or the people that respond to that account would like. But that's not really what I'm talking about, because that doesn't. That's a one-on-one thing. And listen, I don't hate the devs at all. Like me doing the CSM stuff, I know people like to ascribe intent to what we as the CSM do. Nobody in there is like, man, we need to do this because the mods are all pieces of shit, or because the people that work with Netties are pieces of shit. Every dev that I have PM'd that has responded to me, I thought they gave me a well thought out, insightful, actual, real, non-placeholder response. Like I forget who I spoke to, but one of my favorite conversations was the guy talking about. He was the guy that made court missions. And the reason I reached out was I just said, hey, I love what you did. This is fantastic. I'm not criticizing you. I just think it'd be great if in a mission we could have an if operator or like an or, right? Hey, for 500 court points, instead of making a mission for Tritanium, Mex, Pyrite, can I say this or this or this or this? And he said, yeah, we went back on that idea for a long time. We thought about it. The concern that we had, though, is that this is very new. It's going to appear complicated to players, and we don't want to overwhelm people more than they already are. And I really appreciated that response, because while it's something I want, it's true, right? The game is, to the vast majority of people, the game is overwhelming. And the fact that they thought that out, like I had never seen that on a dev Q&A or whatever, and I appreciated that. So to me, when we were first doing the CSM elections, like the question I always got that kind of irritated me was the whole, how are you going to make Netties do something? And I think to be honest, that's a really weird way to have an understanding of a power dynamic. And that's not how I look at agreements. It's not like, how am I going to make you do a thing? Like, okay, first of all, I'd like to have a relationship with you. And I don't think any sustainable or good relationship comes from me holding a gun to your head. So that word about make, like the IRS makes you pay taxes, right? Like that's not the relationship I want to have with a company that I do business with during my leisure time.
Exactly.
Right. And having, you can say, well, the election could have, would have, should have. Sure. Okay, fine. But having a group of people that can say, hey, man, we recognize that you're trying with these weekly developer Q&As, but we would like to also get insight on this type of stuff here. And then maybe they could say, hey, man, I can't comment on that this week. Maybe that is something that we actually did finish work on, but we need to release around the anniversary because our shareholder meeting is on, that kind of typical business stuff, right? That's really all we're asking for. Not we want to sit on your weekly sprints and why are you guys being an asshole and not working on. I don't know anyone in the CSM that wants to do that. It is literally a request to have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry to derail you, Rambo. It's just I feel like
that's fine.
That's like the biggest repeat thing that keeps coming up. And if I'm honest, I don't understand the negative feelings around the CSM. I understand why people might have negative feelings about certain individuals on the CSM, but I'll tell you what, the times we've met and when we do meet, the coalition stuff, war stuff in game, that stuff, it doesn't come up. There might be a joke or something, but that stuff is not in the room when that's happening. It really is, how do we form a relationship with this company and try to preserve a community that I and others think has value, right? Because of the type of game it is, i.e. the fact that it's a sandbox. So yeah, anyway, sorry to rant, just, yeah.
Yeah, and, when we proposed that letter, it seemed to have been a time that NE was kind of inquiring about maybe getting additional feedback. I mean, we seen it with Cloud earlier. in that screenshot. Hey, what would you like? DM me, literally DM me, asking about wormholes or ideas for them or whatever, right? Like, they want that feedback. It's what the CSM could do is take that feedback, go through it, say, okay, this is probably what you want to see, rather than them getting the DMs and having to filter them. We want to help them do this stuff, and we figured they're at the point in the game time that the time was right to propose something like that. And yes, they still technically have to acknowledge it, but it's at the same time, like, I don't feel that they want to say no, but they also don't want to say yes. So it's kind of a weird, I don't know what you would call it, kind of weird instance there. Is like, they don't want to say no, but at the same time, they don't want to say yes. So here we are with just a proposal.
It's a typical government stance. I mean, I'm not here to speak on behalf of Providence, but that's why if you ever, I'm the Diplo for Providence, I comment on as little as I can, because at the end of the day, it's like, it's far easier, it's more politically feasible to take no stance than to take any stance. You're abstaining. So I understand why they don't respond. I don't literally think that they're not responding to us to disrespect us. That's not what it is, right? It's a business not responding to a entity that is not incorporated, right? The CSM is a Discord server with people on it that are customers. That's the extent of our relationship. We're not an incorporated entity. It's not a snub. It's just someone decided, hey man, this is not feasible. It's not worth the risk, or this isn't something we should prioritize. Yeah. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop, but I think it's more that. It's definitely not. We had a mod that posted a response to what you said, and I think that I'm less inclined to believe that his rationale is the actual rationale for how that decision was made.
Mm-hmm. It's not like we get a seat at the table.
No, I'm not. I don't know anyone in CSM that has that expectation. It's, hey man, I'll speak for myself. I spend money on the game. I am open to spending more money on the game. You are a business. I feel like you like money. So we can talk, though.
Yeah. So that was that was pretty much it, that we had on that suggestion. It did spark a lot of conversation. This is what we want. This is what we've been pushing, and as long as we continue pushing it, and not in a bad way, because we definitely don't want it to be portrayed in a bad way or an annoying way or anything like that. But say this is something that a CSM could do, instead of the people DMing the devs right away or anything. You could take polls. There's a lot of stuff that the CS team can do that would probably save a lot of headache for the devs, filtering through messages or translations or whatever. I've talked to them in person. They are good people. They are actually good people. So like, I don't want to annoy them. I don't want to feel like they're useless or anything like that. So, I want to help them. And I think everyone on the CSM team wants that as well. So we'll continue doing what we are doing. But as for the suggestion, I greatly appreciated the suggestion. It brought up a lot of chatter, and hopefully we can see more suggestions of stuff like that or similar. So good deal. And holy smokes, we've been talking for a long time. I'm gonna skip commercials. OC. we're skipping commercials. It's serious now.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, this is. Oof.
Yeah, I know. We're pushing an hour and a half mark, like I had told you, an estimated average time. So, I don't want to keep you for too long because I know you had plans for the night. But one other thing that I had a recent thing happen in the game the other day, I guess you could say. And maybe some people find this entertaining, but it sparked an idea to create, I guess, a little skit, you could say. So, you know, everybody knows of the silent intel channel. It's a public channel. Basically, anybody can join it if you're not blacklisted already. So, you know,
Wait, do you have a link for this?
do I have a link? No, I ain't linking it. But you know, it often it's a place where some people chatter, you know, quite a bit, and so one person spoke up, and I noticed that it was a neutral. You know, it wasn't blue to me, and I noticed that he was in the fake honk something or other. He was in the fake honk alliance, right? He was in Pox, and you know, notoriously, they consider themselves the original honk. You know, goose themed alliance or whatever. I will firmly state that that is definitely not the case, and I'll say honk is the original and only honk. So, and everybody else is fakes, including them. So, he joined that. He had said something like, "Oh, that's not nice," right? And so I blacklisted him from that. You know, and it's one thing where neutrals. We have neutrals. There's so many neutrals in the chat. You can't blacklist them all. You know, often there's the ones that speak up, and then there's others that don't say anything at all, right? And they're not even roaming the space. They just sit there and they just watch the chat for whatever reason. But occasionally you get the ones that will try trolling you, right? They'll post kill mails in the intel channels and all that stuff. Well, this guy, I blacklisted him because he was saying something about not being nice. So I wasn't nice. I blacklisted him. And then he joins with his alt. Then he said, "Oh no, that's not nice." I blacklisted the alt. He had like 6 characters I blacklisted. I'm like, geez, how many more do you got? Like, seriously, he's just going to keep joining them.
Honestly, like, what an internet citizen. He took the time to rejoin in an alt to correct you on your behavior from a moral standpoint.
Right.
Like, we need more of that guy.
Yeah, so I was having to monitor the intel channel for, you know, just for an alt that had the relatively same name until I had gotten them all or he gave up. So thought that was pretty entertaining during the time. I know people in the chat were probably laughing. He didn't really care for the fake honk comment, but it is what it is, right? So during that time, that actually inspired me to make this clip. Now, I had made a educational audio clip, and let's see how it plays out. Like, right, I'll play it here. You know, people in alliances often worry about neutrals in intel channels, and they worry if they are about to get dunked on by those very neutrals. So as a public service, the Echoes of New Eden podcast proudly presents this educational audio clip. Have you ever joined an enemy intel channel and wondered, are they about to kick my ass? Well, wonder no more. If you follow these easy tips, you'll be fine. First, look at your standings. Standings were made for a reason. Think of it as a hint. You may have heard people say, "Man, I wouldn't roam them if I was you." Well, here is some of that. Being red, being gray, forming a fleet, attacking structures, hitting ratters, hitting miners, dying by miners, or just being in the area. You know, you probably wouldn't get your ass kicked if you just used common sense. If you log in somewhere in enemy space, you might just get a warning from the enemy. But if you log in expecting to hit some targets after you just logged out for being a bitch, maybe you need your ass kicked. We all know what happened to certain corporations who live in enemy space. But they wouldn't have had their ass kicked if they just followed this simple tip. If you see a fleet forming to get you, leave immediately. Everybody knows if the enemy has to chase you, they're bringing an ass kicking with them. Here's a no-brainer. If you are in the enemy intel channel, leave that shit immediately. If you are roaming the enemy and the enemy still claps you, well, that's just ignorant. When you join the intel channel, stay in low sec and don't bother making bad decisions. Want to roam with a friend? Not so fast. your friend might be a dumbass. Now, before you let your friend in the fleet, ask them these questions. Do you have eyes in the intel channel? Have you been blacklisted? Now, if you get spotted with your friend, please remind your friend to do this one thing. Shut the fuck up. A blued enemy friend could be the difference between being smart and getting your ass dunked on. If you continuously roam on a daily basis, there's nothing the enemy would enjoy more than seeing you getting your ass kicked. Now let's review. View your standings. Leave the intel channel. Shut the fuck up. Get a blue friend. But last but not least, don't roam on a daily. If you follow these simple pointers, you probably won't get your ass kicked by the enemy. And yes, I brought laughers. I just thought that would have been funny. But how'd you like that? Oh, see, you're muted.
Oh, rip. Sorry.
He was speechless after that. That's how good that was, right?
It was a very clear image in my mind, but did something happen recently? Like, was there like a meme I missed, or like, or is this like GI Joe PSA announcement time, or?
No, that's just for fun.
Oh,
it wasn't like a meme or anything. No, it's just a skit.
I didn't know if like that's well, because I know, like, I mean, for us, I'll be honest, when I see people log out in our space, I definitely, like, if someone passes through, whatever, once you log out in our space, that's when I put an extra effort to engage you. That's
when they know they got an ass kicking waiting for them. That's exactly it. See, the entire thing is a meme.
Or sometimes not even, man. Maybe, listen, violence isn't always the answer, dude. Okay? Sometimes the answer is a sleepover. Like, sometimes you log out on our space. Sometimes we have a 72-hour gate camp. You know what I mean? Like, we'll invite you to watch a movie with us. Sometimes it's good to just hang out.
Yeah, so I think that could probably apply to all alliances. At least the ones in nullsec, right? So they all have they've had some sort of experience within that skit that they can relate to. So yeah, it's good stuff. Violence is in the question, and yes is the answer.
Sir, while I respect your opinion, I am actually a pacifist. I don't believe in any form of violence or any sort of hostile behavior, so I can't submit to that.
Wow. I don't know if I could hire you for the show. You're completely opposite personality than Taylor. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't believe in are you sure you're Absolutely, dude. I would never advocate for violence ever, or troll. Neither of those things.
Nice. Yeah, so I've seen a few people in the audience say very much enjoyed that skit, and I like making that stuff. That's fun for me. I get to play with my audio program and do little, shit like that. And I'd seen one comment, did all of that without mispronouncing words. No, that is heavily edited, by the way. Heavily edited. There is just about not every sentence, but I've had to cut out a few of the sentences or redo them because I didn't, I don't know, I guess say the joke right or whatever else. So, yeah, good stuff. Stuff takes time. It took me a couple hours to do that. Nah, I wouldn't even say that. Probably 2 hours at the most to do all that. To find the audio track and to record it and to write it, and so how many takes did it take total? Technically it was one take, but if I screwed up on a sentence, I would start from the beginning and redo the sentence. I remember having to do that a few times, and so when I go through to edit, then I know the cues, right? So then I just cut that part out and then I mesh the rest into how I want it timed and all that. So good stuff. So that is actually it. That is all that we had on the timeline for tonight. OC, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No, I don't really have anything else to add, man. Thanks for having me to co-host. It was a ton of fun. I really hope you leave that bit in from the beginning, man. The Tassador story. That please leave that in.
Oh yeah, sure thing. Yeah, sure thing.
That was amazing.
Yeah, because pretty much I have to start recording early because if I don't do that, then I forget about it. We had an episode. It was a couple months ago now. We had an episode where I forgot to record like the first 15 minutes of the episode. And so then I had to take the audio from Taylor's stream and mesh it into what I had started to record. So yeah, I have to start a little bit early now so then I don't forget. But and I did catch that conversation, so I'll leave it in there. That's good stuff. All right, so with that, we will start the outro. And generally, I have Taylor do the content creator shout out toward the end. If the music will start, there it goes. And here we will give a shout out to all of the other content creators out there providing us with content. I know there's a couple in the chat with us today. Latara, fellow content creator there. Trupa as well. Chain Demon. Heck, there's a lot of content creators up in here. Some names I can't see because for some reason streamer mode mutes them out, but shout out to you guys for doing what you do in the YouTube channels, and as well as the official content creators out there. You know, you have Captain Benzie and Damon Zell, as well as our channel. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel to follow up with all those videos and stuff that we do, as well as like and comment, I guess, on and rate the podcast itself on Apple and Spotify. I do read those. I do enjoy seeing that type of stuff. But for other content creators, let me get a list here for you because there's so many, I don't even know them off the top of my head. But Mario echoes the Mobibot, Gengar, Heron Explorer, Matty Huh, Scipio, Killer Rick, Muse. Those are just the ones that are online. And there's so many others. Jubileus is another one. Vetamune, they're all content creators providing content out there. So, and Latara just posted his one of his videos in the on-air chat there, so you can go check that out after the show if you wish. So thank you everybody for joining, and thank you OC for being my guest host tonight. Kind of short notice, but we were able to make this work, so greatly appreciate you for coming on and doing this with us.
Yeah, man, it's a ton of fun. Maybe next time I can do a dramatic reading.
There you go. There you go. Dramatic. Yeah, that would be so funny. Dang, I didn't even think about that, but maybe next time. Yeah, we could do that again. So until next time, ladies and gents, we'll see you out in New Eden. Everybody fly safe. 07.
Hype.